I guess I'm running the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess you are.
I'm trying to stay in.
Where's Mr. Lambert?
You got to do it with a British accent.
Thank you.
There you go.
I guess I don't know how to do British accent, so fuck it.
I still
Oh.
best of luck to you. No worries.
And welcome
This is
to
Jeff.
the show,
Yes.
Kaiju Connections.
That is
That's
correct.
the mimic.
Welcome to the entertainment headquarters, first of all. Then it's Kaiju Connections.
Well, this is my show, so I'll do what I want.
Really? It's your
Yeah.
show? Really?
Yeah, see you
Really?
guys. He's going to kick me out. Bye.
Man,
That didn't take long.
you're
Okay, who had
this
40 seconds?
cool. You're
I can
this
just see. I can see
cool.
Kevin's fingers like, yeah, you think? You think?
Find the button, pal.
Like-
Find the button.
Yes.
Button.
But anyway, as we know, it is the entertainment headquarters. It is Kaiju Connections, where we talk all things kaiju, giant creatures from films and television and all of that jazz. And of course, tonight is a film that I had never seen or even heard about. But of course, it was Mr. DJ Anubis that mentioned this particular movie. And so I thought, I've never seen it. Let's give this thing a whirl. And the film we have to talk about is the Bermuda Depths.
Dun dun dun.
Right?
I
So,
love when that part happened in the movie.
Oh,
Yeah.
he's got the disc.
he's got
Right.
this. So,
Yeah.
Mr. DJ Anubis, what was it about this particular movie that you decided to select this, or bring this one up? And what was it about it that made you want to check this one out?
How much time you got?
Yeah.
It's funny because we were talking off stream, and one thing that people have to know, if they don't, like obviously Jedi, maybe Thrash, and maybe a couple others, from the period of 1975 to 1985 was actually the golden age of TV movies, made for TV movies. We're talking stuff like this. We're talking stuff like The Car, Devil Dog, Dark Knight, the Scarecrow. Some of the best made for TV movies you'll ever see because they're so effective in how they put them onto TV. They're better than some of the horror films we see today. The thing about this film is it's weird. I can understand where Anthony might be coming from in this, because this isn't your typical kaiju type of film. It does deal with kaiju, but it's also like a love story. Also has a little bit of action in it, and it's just, I don't know if it's the writing. I don't know if it's because it is done by a Japanese director, so maybe that's part of it. At the time, they didn't really know about like you won't get like the kind of story with this as you would with -1. It's just like vastly different, and how it's conveyed. But I do find this story very unique. It deals with the Bermuda Triangle, which I've always been fascinated with, the whole aura and mythology behind the Bermuda Triangle. So the way they came up with this, and I as a kid, man, like the love story itself is kind of cool. I've always got drawn to the theme of the song, not Jenny's theme. It's the other one, the instrumental soundtrack. But they carve their initials on the turtle's back when it's young, and then you kind of see it at the end. It's just a very cool moment. I'm interested to see what all your guys' opinions on it are. But yeah, when you were doing Kaiju Connections, Kevin, this is like your grand show that you do about different creatures and monsters, which is a great concept. To me, this is just one that has to be in your list at some point, and I'm glad we're doing it.
Very good. Well said. The Professor Daniel Miller. When's the first time you've seen this particular film?
Tonight, actually.
Ditto.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
2 first timers.
Yeah.
Yes. And let's see how we feel about it when we talk about it. Mr. Jedi Granville. First time seeing this movie?
Oh God, I'm pretty sure like Thrash, like Anubis. I actually saw this on a rainy Friday night back when it was first released on television. I mean, this is, good Lord, this is almost 50 years ago. Okay, so that was the night, and I saw it with my brother. My brother and my nephew, we all watched it, and we didn't know what to expect from it. I mean, we were just saying, okay, this is something different. And the funny thing is, I'm pretty sure Thrash and Anubis is pretty well. How when they advertise a television movie, they just show just little bits of it. And the one thing that got me the most is that one shot where the turtle's back does what it does, and you know what I'm talking about. But it got me, and like I say, once we watched it, it's like, okay, that was pretty cool, But I didn't know how much of an impact it would make on me years later, because I'm thinking like I would see it like 10 years later. It's like I forgot about that. I forgot, but I do remember that one shot. So
one thing they were very good at the time was you could be watching a sports game, but when they were advertising for the Sunday night or Saturday night movie, like that stood out more than the game. Like that was like a big event for people to watch that thing come up where it's rolling the Saturday night movie. And they'd like, the way they would advertise these films, man, it's like, wow, this is something I have to catch. I can't miss this. It's got to be
A television event.
Yes, exactly.
Even
And so it's the way they PR'd. The PR was great for it.
Mm-hmm.
Even in the 90s, they still made the TV movies feel like a big deal.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like now we've got crap like the Lifetime channel and the things like,
We won't
even
talk
the
about the other
sci-fi.
day when I got stuck watching Hallmark and that guy was busting my balls.
And in Britain, many of the TV movies we get are often crime dramas and just relegated to 5 USA. And it's like, okay, that's the only story we're getting. So we're not getting made for TV sci-fi or made for TV horror. Okay, fine, whatever, fine.
Well, but crime drama's a lot cheaper to produce.
It's like the only sci-fi produced, I would say, show that might get a special, like an episode event that's like a mini movie would be Doctor Who.
Well, I feel bad for you British gentlemen, because Michael Grade really destroyed British sci-fi, which was actually, in my opinion, at the time, the best in the world. But because he didn't care for science fiction, when he took over, he axed Doctor Who, he axed tripods, he wouldn't fund made-for-TV science fiction. It caused a sort of collapse. And while there's certainly been a recovery over the years, in my opinion, BBC sci-fi has never reached what it was prior to The Purge. And Michael Grade, it's all your fault.
And we are never going to forgive him. And it's going to take a very, very long time to get back to where we were.
I was me and for example, I know we're going off track a bit, but we'll get back. Me and Mr. Tony the Dead viewed a show called Nautilus, and that was created by Disney, and then it was sold to Paramount because Disney thought, it wouldn't be successful. But the way that show was edited and created, it felt like a show made for the BBC. And I generally feel if that had been sold to the BBC, it probably might have done better and done well. Because I thought it was a great show, and the way it ended, it could have been a standalone season, or they could have continued it. But I like Nautilus, and they left you with little cliffhangers and they showed you just little bits of the underworld, the underwater world and what could be down there, and it really made me think. I wish they continued the show. Show more of that.
Yeah.
But anyway, moving on, Mr. Anthony Jordan, when did you first see the Bermuda Depths?
Today, in preparation for the movie, my was to sit down and watch it in one shot, but it had come to my attention that dogs were low on food, so I had to stop about 25 minutes in to go to Walmart, so that might have affected my enjoyment of the film, but I'm new to this one.
Thrash.
I was actually fortunate enough to catch it back in 1978 when it first aired as a made-for-TV movie in prime time. I was actually, if I remember correctly, I was actually staying at my grandmother's house, which I was lucky. I could then watch it in color. But I believe my mother had to work that Saturday morning at the time, or for any reason. I was at my grandparents', and they let me watch it in the family room on a color TV. And I remember falling in love with it. I had recently discovered Gummer at that time. And this was sort of the next best thing, you might say.
Mhm.
That's
I mean, they
interesting.
both
You say
feature a
that,
giant
Thrash.
turtle.
Go ahead. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I mean, they both feature a giant turtle, so I can see the appeal.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it's kind of ironic you say that, Thrash, because I wouldn't discover Gamera until I was into my late teens. Surprisingly. Yeah.
I can't even remember when I discovered Gamera. I feel like he's just always been there.
I think I actually might have seen him at some point in the 70s, but if not, it would have definitely been the 80s. So I would have been after this film for sure.
Yeah, I saw. I didn't see Gamera. I didn't see Gamera until I think I was 11 when I saw
Sounds about
Gamera.
like me too. Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, shout out to YYTT who's viewing through my channel.
What's up, dude?
Oh, cool.
So,
Thank you.
What
And
up?
for doing that, Gary Carpenter and music, movies, and more with Brian. Guys, thank you for joining us today.
Yeah.
Yes,
What's up,
thank you for
gentlemen?
joining us. More the merrier. Mr. Tony the Dead, your first time viewing the Bermuda Depths.
Last night, first time watching it. Yeah. Yeah, watched it last night. I don't know what else to say. My first time viewing it, and I didn't know what to expect.
Mhm.
That's all I could say.
Sci-fi.
I just saw it the first time I saw it was this morning. So I thought I had heard the name and I thought I may have saw it, when I was younger maybe, but no, when I first started watching it, I was like, yeah, I've never seen this, and then not even know that Carl Weathers was in it. I was like, yeah, I definitely did not see this one.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, and then yeah, I you know what, it's a slow burn. I'm not gonna lie, but I did like the aspect, like the 70s, the late 70s type of feel, the aesthetic, the old school type of acting methods, and the beautiful what do you call it, Jenny? I forgot the actress's name that played Jenny, and I was
Honey
like, wow.
Celica.
Sister
Yeah,
Sarah.
yeah, it was. Yeah, I was. I mean, I wasn't totally blown away, but I was interested. I was, pretty much hooked to it, and then the love story, and then about the turtle, and then the whole thing of that she goes back to the 1700s. I'm like, yeah, that's kind of what drew me in, and I enjoyed it. I mean, it's not like I said, it didn't blow me away, but I did enjoy the film for what it was.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about the Bermuda Depths. Let's get cracking. So the Bermuda Depths is a Japanese/American co-production in 1978 fantasy film, originally broadcast as a made-for-TV movie written by Arthur Rankin Jr. of Rankin Bass fame, which anybody knows that Rankin Bass were well established back in the 1970s and 60s. Of course, I had a lovely interview with Linda Miller, and she mentioned Rankin Bass and her affiliation with them. So that's, they were well established back then. Special effects and creature elements were handled by Subaraya Productions, most famously for the Ultraman franchise. The film first aired in the United States on January the 27th, 1978 on ABC, and was later released to theaters in Japan. So a well-known group of individuals and companies there that, of course, worked on this movie, which going into this didn't have a clue really much about it because I hadn't heard the film. But the read that Rankin Bass Productions and Subaraya Productions were both connected to this film really got me eyes wide and thought, oh, well, if they're involved, it's got to be good.
It's different for one thing, for sure. Yeah, it is. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, it's quite possibly the most 70th of the 70s movies. I mean, if you watch for it, it's like, oh my gosh. Well, first of all, nature horror, giant sea creature, Jaws, the biggest blockbuster of the 70s. It also discusses satanic possession, Exorcist, Omen, that type of thing. It also has the obsession people had with cryptozoology at the time and the paranormal, the Bermuda Triangle, and that sort of thing. And
They also mentioned,
go ahead, please.
They also mentioned Loch Ness at some point.
Well, yes, exactly. There was a theory, and it keeps popping up even to this day, that the Loch Ness monster is actually a descendant of the plesiosaur.
Yeah.
And so that they do reference: is it a demonic sea creature, or is it just evolved from an archelon? So it actually you have that connection to nature horror as well as paranormal horror. It's a love letter to all things 70s. Oh, and one thing, that opening sequence, two things I noticed about it. One, what could be more 70s? He's riding around on a moped with this sort of Enrico Morricone surf and wah-wah music in the background, right? And the shots of Bermuda. Oh my God. Who financed this film? The Bermuda Chamber of Commerce? I mean, halfway through I'm like, I wanted to go to Bermuda just from the opening sequence, you know?
Yeah.
And
I like the idea. I like the idea also that they treated Jenny almost like a siren or a mermaid.
I was going to say,
yes. Yep.
It's like a siren that you can't see, but you know about it until like she seduces you and like lures you in.
Yep.
Damn it, Anubis, you stole my thunder right there, bro.
But here's a question. I'm assuming Thrash and Anubis knows this. Does this kind of put like the deep into this kind of feel for it too a little bit?
Sure.
Definitely.
I mean, think about it. This is right around the same time that Orca, Tentacles, Piranha, all of these films were out there.
Treasure.
I didn't think of it. I didn't think of it about what Thrash said, and he mentioned the moped, but it's kind of funny how public perception of those has changed since then. Back then, it was looked at as this cool, fun, alternative mode of transportation. Now it's the drunk's choice of transportation.
Yeah. So let's talk a bit about the plot. So, on a Bermuda beach, a sleeping Magnus Dens is approached by a beautiful but mysterious woman, Jenny Hanover, who seems to recognize him. In the meantime, Magnus is dreaming of his childhood, playing on the same beach, watching a turtle egg hatch with his friend Jenny. So, the opening, I'll be honest, I was confused because I didn't know if that was a flashback or if, something had happened to them. Because don't forget, right at the end of the movie, he's also on the beach and she approaches him, but then she leaves him. So I got myself really confused, but I still enjoyed what I was seeing. So let's start with Jedi. What's your, how do you feel about the beginning of this movie?
Well, see, you got to remember, I saw this with child's eyes, so I was kind of like you. It just kind of threw me aback, like, what's going on here? Yes, she's yes.
Oh wow, she's beautiful. She's got that innocent look to her, man. Like it just lures you in, like a siren. Like it's just like she had those eyes. So she's there. Sorry, Jed. I didn't mean to cut you off.
You can't help it. Look, I mean, she was that. She's like a model, actually. If you think about it, But no, I mean, the simple fact is, it's like Sci-Fi was saying. She draws you in. It's like this was made me kind of confused. Like, what's going on in this beginning? And like I say, you have to just follow through. But as I got older, I kind of got more understood about what's going on. But it's as Sci-Fi said earlier, it's a slow burn, but the conclusion is just like, are you left with more questions or you got an answer? Because it does something at the end that I think most films today don't give it credit for. So, but I'll get to that when we get there. So.
Yeah. Thrash, how do you feel about the first, the beginning and the setup of the movie?
Well, that initial setup, which I remember very well, actually, because particularly because there's two sequences. There's one where they're like preschoolers, where they watch the turtle being born. And the funny thing about that, if you know anything about sea turtles, their eggs are about the size of a golf ball, and this it's almost the size of a car seat. So right up the gate, is it a dream sequence, as you say? Is this just some new breed of sea turtle I'm unfamiliar with? Or is it, do demonic sea turtles get born differently? You know, it kind of goes everywhere. In fact, I got to tell you, I love the fact that with Magnus, you're never quite sure up until the end. You're never quite sure, is this legit or is he in fact mentally ill? You know, it's certainly remarked upon.
I think it's both.
Yeah.
And also post-traumatic stress because of what happened. He lost his, like, I love that particular scene with Carl Weathers' character, who I think was phenomenal. His acting in this was brilliant.
Yes.
I love the scene with him where he's talking to his wife, who's trying to say, "What you doing with this kid? You know, he's crazy." And he's saying, "Well, wouldn't you be? You lost your mother, you lost your father in the same year. You were both shipped out. You all went from school."
And
to
let's
school.
get something clear here. That's not Eric. That's Apollo Creed. That's
And
that
you know,
dude was still buff back then too, man. I mean,
and the odd thing about this was before I saw Rocky. Believe it or not, I mean Rocky came out before this film came out.
76.
But I wouldn't see.
When
Rocky.
I first went back to revisit this film some years ago, I was shocked when I saw Carl Weathers. Like I didn't even remember originally him being in it. Like I just, because I was so young and I didn't even know who he was. And even after I saw Rocky and all those other films, I just never put two and two together until I revisited this. I was like, that's Carl Weathers. Holy fuck, that's Carl Weathers. You know, I shocked myself.
I will
And
never
understand.
I will never understand how he only got one leading role in his whole career.
It's a travesty.
It is.
And he was still Jack, dude. He was Jack still.
Yeah.
Actually, Jedi and I talked a little bit about that when we did a review of Action Jackson, because he should have been a bigger star than he ever was.
He should have. Yeah.
Like I think if they had made Action Jackson a more serious movie, then maybe, but it was quite like a campish, like comedy cop movie.
I don't know. I mean, it seemed to fit the same thing that Arnie and some of the other ones were doing. Like they had that kind of like slash humor in there. So like,
but over the
I
top.
didn't look at it any differently, you know, honestly.
He did handle great.
I liked it. I thought it was a great film.
Yeah.
So as Thresh has mentioned, you know, you see them as young kids, then you see them like older, and he carves on the turtle that they found a GM in a heart. Then all of a sudden, she's you know, disappears, and then next thing you know, she's in the water with the turtle and it's swimming off, and she's following it, and it's like she's being seduced by the call of the sea, and she's like drawn into the water, and the turtle sinks below the ocean and she sinks with it.
And can I point something out real quick? This is how you misremember certain things. I swear I thought she picked the turtle up and carried it to the water. But when you watch it again, you realize like that turtle's bigger than her. How would she be able to pick that thing up? You know, that's why I say I can't. I remember her taking it to the sea, but I was like, I thought she picked it up and took it into the sea. You know?
True.
Wait, hold on. The part of itching initials under a turtle's back, isn't that technically animal cruelty?
I'd say
no, because it's the animal's shell. It doesn't feel any pain or anything. In fact, there was another movie that came out around the same time. I can't remember it, but it was about this group of marine biologists who track sea turtles, and they had put a tracking device on the shell. They actually drilled it right into the shell, and then just to play it safe, one of the kids who's helping out, he writes in paint his name and the date on the shell. And they actually use that to track the sea turtle to the end. It's not actually harming the animal, so it's not that they're carving it into
plus it was in
flesh.
the water, so I mean, water balances everything else, so she's not really even putting weight on it.
What I couldn't figure out, I don't want to give away the end of the show. What I couldn't figure out is if the turtle had the M plus J on the back, would not she have the M plus J carved onto her back? Huh? Huh?
Mm.
That's
Because-
another one.
Because the implication is that she and the sea turtle are somehow one, or at least connected.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's interesting. I never thought of that. The scene then shifts to young Magnus on the beach, spotting Jenny riding a turtle, heading out to open sea and disappearing beneath the water as he calls after her. Then shifts again to his nightmare of the night his father, Lionel, was knocked into the water by an unseen horror in the cave beneath the house, and part of his house on a cliff crumbling down to the beach as the storm rages on. Now, one thing I'll say, the slow burn of, like you said, the scenery and the kids on the beach, I found that interesting. But what really got us was the storm coming in and seeing, like, from, I guess, whatever attacked them, which I'm assuming was the giant turtle's eye view, like scouring across, and then entering the cave because it's like an underground cave or something that in that's below like the top half of the house. And hearing the animal noises, like the whale songs and all that stuff. And I love like what Anuba said, not the singing song, but the soundtrack of the movie, of like that melody.
Yep.
It's just a beautiful melody.
Yes.
Within
It goes
movie.
with it.
Yeah. And soon as that scene happened, I was immediately like, oh, yep. And then obviously the film then skips forward to him waking up on the beach. Like you said, that beautiful scene. It was like an advert for a holiday, on the moped saying, "Welcome to Bermuda, look at the sights." Stuff like that. It was really scenic. And then he gets on the boat. And then he's going back to his home because he's got answers, I guess, that he wants to have answered. And then he meets Carl Weathers' character, who he befriends, who recognizes him from a child. And then Carl's character basically says to him, "I'm working for this professor or this." So you've got Magnus Dent, who's played by Lee McCloskey. Carl Weathers is Eric. Connie Sel-Ecker is Jenny. Julie Woodson is Darshan, and Ruth Attaway is Delia, and Bill Ivis is Dr. Paulus. Now, the one thing I'm going to say, Thrash, is this your twin?
No, but I have what I think is a really cool Burl Ives story, if you'll indulge me for just a moment.
Let's hear it.
When I was 12 or 13, my father arranged a big family vacation down, not in Bermuda, but in the Bahamas. Almost as cool. I found out afterwards the estate we stayed at was actually the vacation home of Burl Ives. So I vacationed once at Burl Ives' home when I was a kid.
Oh,
that's cool.
Cool.
But in all seriousness, though, this
I can see that.
In the actor, I love this character.
Yes.
And I loved his role, and he was like, obviously, yes, he was a scientist, yes, he was trying to find, like, basically, how I looked, if you think about it, in many ways, he could have joined Monarch in the Godzilla Monsterverse because he was there to find undiscovered giant, terrestrial animals that hadn't been discovered. And he could have been linked to like the likes of John Goodman's character in Skull Island. That's the kind of character I see in this person as. And I loved his connection to Carl Weathers' character, Eric, and like how he kind of bonded with Magnus and how he had a connection to his father, how him and his father were work colleagues, and they kind of connected together. Now, I'm just going to be honest. as I always am. The actor who plays Magnus, his acting it was so wooden. I think the actor in the film The Room does a better job.
Yeah, he was kind of dull.
Yeah,
He was
I
the
think he
weakest
was
link in the
weakest.
movie.
Yeah,
He was the weakest link
He
in
was
the
the weak-
movie. Now,
not to be mean.
Carl Weathers, absolutely amazing.
hmm
You know, Connie Selica, she was brilliant as Jenny, and obviously Burl Iris as Dr. Paulus was just fantastic.
Yes.
Even
Since you
Julie Woodson, who plays Joe Sean, who's like the
Yeah.
voodoo chef, she was so brilliant as well.
Right.
since you mentioned his acting, I think that was like my biggest props film.
And I think Dr. Paulus was the most grounded and most sane character the whole movie, dude.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, in Magnus's defense, I have this weird idea. I think it was the same problem Billy Pilgrim had in Slaughterhouse-Five. When you're doing the fish out of water, when you're doing I'm questioning my own perception, when people aren't supposed to know if I'm mentally ill or not, you have to play it kind of. So he gave it a certain lack of balance and sort of where the heck am I on purpose. Now, unfortunately, I think it came off, as you say, as wooden. That's how it came off. But I honest to God, I think really we were supposed to just interact more with the other characters. He was basically our go-to guy.
He was like the anchor to get to the other pieces.
Exactly.
But like the way he acts, for example, he's acting like, especially having to went through. I can understand he might be shell shocked, or he might have to, be hard to like showcase emotion and expression because of the traumatic experiences. But you would still think you would see something or show something there. A similar actor, like a similar case, should I say, for a character like this is in Godzilla 2014. I find Aaron Taylor Johnson's character has a similar path where he goes through something traumatic, like loses his father, but you don't really see any real emotion.
Yeah.
And he, for me, even though he's the lead in that particular movie, I think Dr. Zerazawa's character was the most fascinating.
Yeah.
Well, remember this too. He's going up against some people who are much more. I think had a little bit more, seasoning from them. I mean, remember Bird Eyes? I'm pretty sure. Well, all of us know that he voiced the snowman in Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. So I feel he's going up against some people that have pretty much got more depth into what they do. But then again, like you say, maybe that's the acting he's supposed to be portraying, and the character he's portraying, because he is kind of shell shocked from what he's experienced. Because in the movie, he mentions that he's been in and out some institutions, so maybe that's what we're supposed to be getting at,
But however, he does. There's a couple of times where he tries to give an emotional performance, and when he does, it seems forced. Like when Delia is trying to tell him, "Oh yeah, it's a demon," and he goes, "No, it's a real girl," and it's like, "Whoa, dial it back,"
Yeah.
Or like
I think even when he saw Jenny each time, it was over exaggerated. Like especially the second time was Jenny. Like, yeah, it was like, yeah.
And also, it never. He keeps saying, "No, it's not a demon. It's a real girl." It never dawns on him. It could have just been some local girl who thought he was a creep, so gave a false name. And what better name than a sea demon? That would be my first thought. Is like, oh, I see. You were hitting on a girl, and she was trying to get rid of you, so she didn't give you her real name. It's Bermuda. It's a very small place, and that never occurs to him. Ever. I think Burl Ives even hints once that like one of the local girls is playing a joke on you, and it just like in one ear, out other. It's like,
It's like he's the kind of character you just want to grab, shake, slap across the face, and say, "Listen."
I can see that.
Yeah,
I can see that.
Yeah. Don't worry, he's dormant. He's asleep
For now.
for now.
For now.
Till 2017 and whenever the hell the next -1 sequel comes out. But going back onto the film, so what ends up happening after he's introduced to Eric, and obviously as he's in the boat, they have that incident where they kind of knock into something or something pulls through the wire that it's trawling in the ocean, and they know that they've come across some large creature that's basically bitten through the net. That's when he, like we say, he goes to Eric's house where he's introduced to Dr. Paulus, and he's introduced to Deshawn, his wife, and Dr. Paulus, and Eric explain they're doing teratology. Dr. Paulus calls out to Delia to hurry up with the dinner. Magnus is intrigued by the necklace she wears because it resembles his own.
That's right.
So, as you know, that has interesting consequences later on. After dinner, upon not getting answers to his questions about his father's death from Dr. Paul, Magnus steps outside. He again sees Jenny swimming by the boat. He jumps into the water to follow her, but he is saved from drowning and revived on the beach by the woman. And by the way, that was the softest CPR I have ever seen in my life.
Yeah. And you also notice, if you look carefully, the scene where just before we have the shot of her performing CPR, the waves, they're crashing onto the shore, they're crashing in reverse.
I noticed that too.
Yes.
I noticed that too.
Yeah, the shot is in reverse. They literally played
it. But that is true. They did play it, but I noticed that because obviously where I work and my occupation, I was like, he's gonna die. He is going to die. But don't forget, Jenny isn't really human, or she's a human character, but she's under possession. So maybe you can get away with it because, of course, she has special abilities. Like we say, she's the siren of the ocean. Maybe the ocean's going in reverse because she's in control of it, and it's not just a budget failure.
Yeah. Also, can't also rule out the fact that this movie is clearly meant to leave you questioning what's real and what isn't.
And I can't help but think, since we're talking about how the fact that he should have drowned and she saved him, I can't help but think that Ron Howard may have seen this movie too when he was conceptualizing for Splash, because it's a very, very similar dynamic, totally different movie. One is a loving sea creature, the other is like a sea demon. But remember, the whole premise is when Tom Hanks is a boy, he falls off the Island Queen, whatever the ferry was between the Cape and Islands back then. I used to know it. I think it was called the Island Queen. But he falls off the ferry, and she, a very young mermaid, saves him, and then years later they reconnect. It's very similar.
Yeah.
We also see a similar dynamic in The Secret of Roan Inish, only it's a seal creature, not a mermaid.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like this is for me is where the plot got interesting. Like already talking about giant undiscovered creatures had it interesting, but then it's when he's revived and he speaks to this woman and she gives him her name of Jenny Hanover. He goes back home after being revived and he starts talking to Dr. Paulus, and he doesn't take him serious, and he basically laughs him off and says it's a folklore, it's a legend, a local island legend folklore. That for me made me think, is this gonna get more deeper and more mysterious? And it was really grabbing us and hooking us in at this point. And then of course, he doesn't believe her, so he doesn't believe obviously Magnus, and says the name and says it's a creature of local folklore. But Delia, I think she's the cook, Delia later tells him the full legend of Jenny Hanover was a beautiful but vain woman who bargained with a mysterious god to save her from a violent storm at sea, and was granted eternal life at the cost of becoming a sea creature who can never again live on land. So that for me was also like, oh, it's getting exciting. It's getting good.
What
This
if
is where go ahead.
since you mentioned, what if like the whole thing, she was the turtle, but she still has the spirit of the human, and her spirit can exist independently, and that's what's interacting with him.
How I take it is this mysterious god is in the form of the turtle.
That's good.
The god has taken the image of this giant turtle. It's a representation of this god, and her soul and spirit is within the spirit of the turtle. So wherever she goes, the turtle goes. And so when she can, she will materialize to everybody else to be seen in on the land, in the water. And I also think this god, whoever it is, whatever happened, like the storm, he probably created the storm, and she had to sell her soul to this god, and that gives him like maybe powers, or it's his form of entertainment, whatever it is. And in many ways, whenever Magnus sees Jenny, it's the power of this god using something that connects him to lure him into the ocean.
Well, it's kind of like what Thrash had mentioned before. It's some kind of satanic kind of situation, because it's like you're dancing with the devil here. Because this movie is kind of saying it's like it's sci-fi and horror, but I feel it's just a supernatural type of film. I mean, yeah, you might have some sci-fi elements in it, but it's basically more on the supernatural phrase, because yeah, you say sell your soul, it's like, no, you playing with devils. Tell you, you're playing with the devil right now. So it's like, no, this is nothing anywhere near that.
Yeah,
I kind of
oh, sorry, Anthony.
I kind of classify it as a psychological / supernatural thriller.
I tend to look at it as a fantastical fantastical supernatural thriller with some psychological elements, but I think it tries a bit too much with too many different ideas. It can't really commit to any certain numbers of ideas, and just gets muddled at some points.
I have to agree.
It's like reading a novel that just has way too many side stories for its own good.
Yeah.
And that's probably the problem why with some films, like, what is it really saying? Is it sci-fi? Is it comedy? Is it a drama? Is it a satire? It's like you can't find what you call a basis for it. I mean, a foundation, and say this is what it is. But this one, yeah, it is kind of over the place of what is it, And like we say, Anthony mentioned psychological, and all those things are in here. But it's like, what is basically what it is, So you can't really pick one without the other.
Yeah. It's good when a movie puts out food for thought about what it presents in its context, but it's frustrating when it's clear that it was all over the place.
It does it to the point of distraction.
Yes.
And sometimes there are so many, it's like juggling so many little side notes, some fall through the cracks. Like, my personal favorite is Carl Weathers becomes obsessed with getting this creature. To
Captain
the point
Ahab.
where, exactly, Burlives even says you have Captain Ahab syndrome, and that's great, but why?
It just comes out of nowhere.
Out of nowhere. Yeah. He didn't lose a leg to it years before. He didn't survive. He wasn't in the Navy and survived the Indianapolis incident. He just decided, oh no, I have to get this monster. It's not even like and if you'll indulge me in a little bit, I made some connections between this and another Rankin Bash production, The Last Dinosaur.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's some definite connections between the two. But at least in The Last Dinosaur, Thorne becomes obsessed with taking down the last dinosaur because he's a game hunter, and it's the ultimate hunt for him. We don't know why Carl Weathers is obsessed with killing this big Archelon. You know,
It's just-
and even
Was he really trying to kill it or capture it? Because the impression I kept getting was that he's almost like the guy from King Kong, where it's like he knows this is like a big wonder, and unlike the other guy, the older guy who's more of a professor and a scientist, Carl sees money. He sees this as like a big cash out. Like I could say, no one has this creature, dude. We have this. We have to catch this.
He's like Carl Denham from King Kong.
Yeah.
You know,
But that's why Beryl Ives has the falling out with him briefly, where he says, "If you want to capture it, I'm all in. If you want to kill it, I am out." And it's a similar argument to like the cryptid hunters who talk about Bigfoot. So for a while, they put out a bounty on a Bigfoot, like a $50,000 bounty, if you can get us the carcass, just to prove it. And everyone's like, "No, we're not killing it. Forget it." So they actually scrapped that idea. But with Carl Weathers, he pulls out that sort of sci-fi spear gun launcher bullet massive monster gun thing.
Yeah.
It's like he's not going to wound it, he's going to kill it.
Well, why does that feel like it was taken from Creature from the Black Lagoon? Because you got the spear, you have the two scientists who are both interested in studying the fossil, then one of them goes out of their way to kill the thing for no rhyme or reason rather than just kill it.
Yeah.
Well, in this case, I think they were just ratcheting up the tension because they had so much else going on. I agree with you. It's like it's almost like they added too much spice, as they said in Amadeus.
Plus, I think they had to try to make Eric like a villain, because even if he just wanted to catch it, you kind of say, okay, that's kind of like egotistical or narcissistic, but in the way that they portrayed it, because we haven't got to the end yet, but that's probably their way of saying, yeah, Eric got what he deserved in the end. This is why.
I'm saying though, trying to say what I think could have made his obsession more believable. Just have a throwaway dialogue when him and Magnus first met, and he's like, "Well, since you've been gone, I become the most successful fisherman in the area."
They should have showed signs that he had like this kind of hidden, like, you know, obsession or personality.
It plants that seed that he's caught everything else there is to catch, and this is his last challenge, but they didn't even have that. He just goes from this perfectly normal guy to, I don't even know what that thing is, but I want to kill it just to kill it.
Yeah. Also, at the beginning of the movie, when he first meets Magnus, he's like, and he's old, you know, childhood friends, like, "Oh my God, hello, Magnus." He goes, "I'm here researching, finishing my degree in biology." He could have threw in a quick line, but really, I'd like to make some quick cash. I want to find a way to make big money, and this looks like a good way to make big money. You know, he could have said something like that, and it would immediately throw you off and went, right, he's doing a biology degree, but his real goal is to make money fast.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that, because there's a very, very, very quick reference that first night they're having dinner. And is speaking of the plesiosaur angle, there's a very quick reference to, and this was an actual thing, a group of Japanese fishermen in the mid-70s supposedly pulled something up in their net, and one of them thought it looked like some type of dinosaur, for want of a better term, but it was rotting and it smelled so bad they threw it back. And when they reported this, people were like, "No, I would have paid millions for that." And then, of course, all the Japanese fishermen were like, so I think you could have very easily connected the dots between those two concepts.
Sounds like the thing from Tremors when they get the piece of that creature and it's like, how much you want for it? And they start debating the price.
Oh yeah.
So obviously a lot happens in the plot.
A lot going on, yeah.
So basically what happens next is they go out with Dr. Paulus again, and there's another disaster. This is where Paulus is kind of losing his patience and trying to capture anything. He meets Jenny at one point. He remembers who she is. He remembers his childhood. And then Magnus confronts Dr. Paulus again about his father's death, because he was his colleague. And Paulus explains that Lionel was conducting tests regarding mutation in sea life when he was attacked and apparently eaten. Magnus asks him if he remembers the turtle from his childhood and describes how he carved initials on the shell for himself and Jenny. Paulus is dismayed. So Magnus awakens to Eric and Dr. Paulus arguing Eric wants to use the horror, which which come out of left field for me to have a device that you're calling the horror. I think it was like intentionally done to make Eric look like the villain. To have a device called the horror, a harpoon-fitting bazooka.
Yeah.
Paulus, aghast at the idea, withdraws his support for the exhibition. Eric collects Magnus and heads out in the boat. After some trawling, they again find something dragging on the line. And as that was happening, you do also see images of the turtle finally in full screen. So this was the turtle we are introduced to, which obviously it's a unique looking turtle. It's obviously no Gamera.
No.
But it's definitely a unique design. What's your opinion of the design?
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, sci-fi. What's your opinion?
I mean, I mean, it looks like a basic sea turtle, just a little bit, modified and a little darker in color with lighter colors on the top of its shell, and the head looks pretty basic. The flippers to me look a little bit bigger than normal, but it's still a good design for the times for the the special effects back in in the late 70s. So I thought it was pretty. I thought it was pretty on point. A little bit more fearsome because of its size and a little modified. But I thought it was a good. I thought it was a good take on it on the look, and then it like when it jumps out of the water, and then the way it does those sounds, like those whale calls. And I was gonna say too, like I was gonna mention the soundtrack and the music just went with the tone of the film.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like
Some of my
Lewis was saying.
favorite scenes are the water scenes where they, like I said before, wherever you had like a scene where you never seen anything, you got like the whale sound, like the whale calling sounds. Then you got that lovely like water type melody. It just suited the tone of the movie.
Yeah.
And obviously, when you like you say, when you're seeing the turtle finally in full screen, the scenes and the music went together.
Yeah.
Well, it's
And
kind
No,
of like.
and then
Go ahead.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
sorry.
Go ahead. Sam.
oh no, I was also gonna say, like, we're already close to that point where he's already using the bazooka harpoon, right?
Yeah.
Or not yet? Okay.
Close.
Okay. Well, before that, like, I mean, I understand, like, when the boats, like, when the boat power starts to go out, and then, like, I why before, like, yeah, that's around that time. But I, like, it's like you guys were saying, like, the way Carwell's character Eric is just so driven on money, and he even says it to Dr. Paulus, like, this is money, like, you don't much imagine how much money, and it'll put Bermuda on the map, and it'll, we can, can have this and have that, and and Paulus is literally like, no, man, I'm like a biologist, right? He's like a marine biologist or something, and
Mhm.
or something like that, and he's like he's totally against killing the sea animals for research. He'd rather just do the thing where it's easier and better to
That
study them while while they're alive and stuff like that.
yeah, that for me though is why it was a bit like unbelievable for his character, how he was earning a biology degree with Dr. Paulus, and Dr. Paulus is, sticking to, his morals, and is sticking to like what he knows about biology and what it is to be a biologist. And he's
Yeah.
under him But then he goes from, like you say, wanting to protect oceans, wanting to protect creatures, to now, whether dead or alive, he wants to capture it.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
that's why Dr. Paulus said, right, if you want to capture it alive, I'm with you. But if you want to capture it dead, I'm out. And that's when
Yep.
he turned around and went, well, I guess I'm on my own. And he went, Magnus, are you coming? So within that one argument and conversation, it was like they did the switch with his character. And I felt as if the switch just wasn't believable.
Didn't seem normal. Yeah, didn't seem.
Mm.
Can I also say like if you guys remember when Jenny always meets up with like when they went under the the cave where his former house used to be, and I think to myself, what kind of person builds a freaking house over a cave?
Batman.
And I'm like, and I was like, okay, that's kind of odd, but I think she says, oh well, keep me warm. I think I don't know if they actually really did smash or something, but I mean, the thing that gets me is like she always told him like, stay with me, like she always said that, stay with me, like hold me, and even when Eric was calling to him, she's like, I have to go. I made a promise, and she's like, no, stay with me, like stay with. It's like Jenny already knew what kind of intentions Eric had already. It's like she already knew, like it's like she knows already. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, I think that the impression I got also is that, and this is where the editing is very bad in this film, but the impression I got was that Jenny was definitely like a siren. That was her trade-off for living forever, was that she was going to draw men into drowning. That was her thing, to sort of feed that god. But as Magnus was a kid, and then somehow she could transform herself into a little girl, there's this bond that grew between them, and that's something she didn't expect, because his innocence and her innocence weren't the same. It wasn't like this desire that men usually had for her. So that's why we get like her constantly keeping an eye out on him and saving him, and then towards sort of like, I don't think it was ever her self-destruction, but that was her weakness as Magnus, and that she didn't treat him the same way that all the others that came before.
And it caused her to go native, you might say.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because the housekeeper, I'm sorry, Darla, Delia even says, don't go near her. If you see her, it means you're about to drown.
Yeah.
That's her job. She lures you into the sea, so you drown, and she's recruiting for Satan. In fact, that's the way I always interpreted it. It's like the big turtle and Jenny, if they're not the same thing, and I don't think they are, but it's a neat theory if you do subscribe to it. But they're basically two minions of Satan. One is like his watchdog. And again, it's over the Bermuda Triangle. I think they were very subtly trying to hint that the Hellmouth is over the Bermuda Triangle, hence all the paranormal stuff that goes on within it. I wouldn't be surprised if there was a line in the script that said that, but it got cut because, as we said, there was so much stuff going on.
Here's
you could definitely connect the dots. But so he's the watchdog, and she's the recruitment agent.
Exactly.
Can I mention two things that I found something familiar with? Well, you went back to who has a cave underneath a house. Thrash and the professor might recognize this. I got vibes of Stingray or Thunderbirds.
Yes.
From that.
Wow.
Because if you remember the villain in Stingray who sat on that cliff, that mansion on like this cliff.
Yeah, Agent X20.
Yes, inside, like there was a giant pointy cliff and there was a mansion or a house on the top of it. But underneath it would be a cave with these these giant fish type submarines. So that reminded me of that. And going back to the relationship between Jenny and Magnus, it reminds me of Invasion of the Astro Monsters.
Yeah.
Between
Nick Adams and the and the alien.
She's working for the Exians. She is doing their bidding, but develops real feelings for Nick Adams' character, where Jenny is meant to be doing the bidding for this turtle type creature god, but then all of a sudden she kind of has a soft spot for Magnus that you cannot pull away from. Because as you know, right at the end of the film, he should have probably died, but he doesn't because he's saved again.
But can we notice a little subtle thing in this film? Because it's something that the professor brought out. We can say this is on a, well, even Anthony too, this is on a psychological level. Did you ever notice that when Magnus is with Jenny, when either Eric or Dr. Paulus calls him and everything, she suddenly disappears? It's all like, see, this is where you get to thinking like, is she really real or is it just in his head? Because we mentioned before, he's been in institutions and everything.
Yeah. I think that's the key to this film. It gives you that impression so you don't know what is real and what isn't real. What's really happening, what's not really happening.
Here's something else to think of with Jenny if she really is some type of siren. What if she was saved during the storm and she doesn't have like a true immortality, but she lures people into the ocean to get drowned in whatever years they would have lived on if not for her? Their life gets added on to her, so she has to keep doing this and luring men to drown so she can keep living.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's an interesting
sort of a sea vampire.
Yeah.
Because it's like the girl said, Delia, she said like, you know, there was this girl that, you know, she was, you know, the ship was doomed. That ship that she was on was doomed, set back in the 1700s. And she literally was so scared. And she was saying, like, I'll do anything. She said, I will do anything for my life so I can survive, so I can live. And that's what she said. Well, she prayed to the God. She prayed to whatever God or whatever entity or whatever, and she fell into the water. So during that scene,
that's probably the greatest weakness of the film is that, as much as I like its direction of how it wants to go. Like, is it going to be an action film? Is it going to be a romance? Is it going to be horror? It never really sticks with one theme, and I think that's sort of what loses its way because you all bring up a lot of great points. Because if Anthony's theory is true, sure, she can like Magnus, but in the end, her job is to make sure that she's bringing these men to die. And so in some ways, because even the creepiness with the end with the tombstone, like that he doesn't even see, but we see her name. That's a cool thing. But because the music is different and because we know that there's this like romance or at least there's some sort of connection they had as kids, you just never quite know exactly where the film wants to take you. It's just sort of like playing different ends of it.
You know, in a way, she did get our wish, which we'll talk about. So when Aaron getting close at the end, so obviously after the argument and Eric and Magnus decide to go on the trawler, they again find something dragging on the line, taking a small harpoon gun. Eric dives to try to save the net. He shoots at a form he can only vaguely see. Turns out to be Jenny. Eric and Magnus resume crawling. Magnus tells Eric he has been with Jenny the night before on the beach and how she was his friend from when he was young. Eric does not remember her and dismisses her as an imaginary friend. The trawl line finally catches the turtle, which is so large it begins to tear through the net. Eric, and this bit I found interesting. If you remember when he got the horror harpoon bazooka, he pointed it at the turtle and he looked at the sky and he went, God forgive me. So he still, I think for me, he's still got like that battle within himself to do the right thing. But like there's this craving to be successful and to find this discovery or to make money outweighing the other side of his brain that's saying you shouldn't be doing this. So no.
And Thrash.
Sorry.
Did you pick up on it that shot that he takes, it was so resembled like from Orca as well as Jaws.
I definitely get an Orca vibe off it now that you mention it, by the way. And there's another connection there that I want to save until the end, but I'm so glad you mentioned it. And yes, of course, the Jaws thing where they really think technology is going to be able to beat the cryptid. And in Jaws, you can almost understand it because it's just a big fish. It's not like an actual monster. In this movie, it's like, at what point is it going to dawn on you that you're fighting with something that isn't normal flesh and blood? Although there's one thing that I never noticed in all the other times I've seen it, and it kind of bothered me when I noticed it this time. We know, the viewers, it's actually Jenny stuck in the net at the end when he says it's a porpoise or a shark, I'll get rid of it. And he goes in with his little spear gun. Carl Weathers actually sees it's a young woman, and he shoots her anyway. And that's why he screams when he sees her at the end. It's like, no, I killed you. And I'm like, oh my God. So you purposely, your obsession to get this thing was so great, you were willing to kill a woman who may or may not be a demon. The jury's still out, but no, it's still, you shot a human being just to get the monster. Yeah. And but yeah, that's actually a very a piquant observation.
Yeah, there's something to add on to the scene earlier where he's in the cave and he meets the professor. I was confused by how the scene played out. I thought it was going to be a twist reveal that the professor was the villain of the movie, especially when he explained how his father died. He said, yes, he was eaten. He lived with it, that sort of thing. It's like, okay, wait, sorry, is he meant to be the villain or is it Carl Weathers? I don't know what the hell's going on here.
Yeah, I thought Dr. Paulus would be turned into like a stereotypical mad scientist, but that's why I kind of like the character, because he was stuck to who he was.
Yeah.
And this now leads us, after sundown, the boat power mysteriously gives out. The compass spins crazily. Magnus leaves the boat. Cabin finds Jenny on board the ship. She begs him to free the turtle, nebulously saying she made a promise long ago she will forever regret. And this is when Dosan's insistence that Dr. Paulus boards a helicopter to fly out to the boat. Upon arriving, he observes a huge shape underwater near the boat. The turtle surfaces, swimming quickly towards the helicopter, then leaping out of the water, sending the helicopter crashing into the ocean. Upon seeing the crash, Eric rushes out onto the deck, but is confronted by Jenny. To his horror, her eyes glow an eerie green. Just as the turtle surfaces under the boat, capsizing it, Magnus climbs aboard the lifeboat amidst the wreckage and desperately tries to help Eric on board, but he is tangled in the line from the horror.
Ahab.
Yeah.
Give me the knife. Give me the knife. Give me the knife. What? No. What do you want the knife for? What do you want the knife for? It's like, give me the freaking knife. It's like, no. What you want? What are you gonna do with it? What are you gonna do with it? He said, give me the knife. So you're not gonna cut it. It's steel cable. I was like, dude. It's like, what did he want the knife for?
He's
to cut off the leg.
I thought he was,
I know, but he's gonna take a long ass time cutting that big ass freaking built fucking leg that he's got, bro. I'll tell you that much. Like, it's gonna be like, and then cutting through the bones, I could be able to do it. He'll drown before he even cuts that thing off.
But you're right. They leave it ambiguous. It's like he doesn't actually say it. I think in his desperation, that's what he wants to do. But you're right. A K-bar, you're not going to get through the bone, and you're going to drown first. And that blood's going to attract a lot of sharks. So it's an act of desperation. But again, just like Ahab, he's trying to lose the leg, unlike Ahab, who did it inadvertently. But of course, he's fouled in the line. And remember, we mentioned Orca earlier. Remember the woman on the dock? She gets the leg bit off. There's something about being legless in these movies. I swear.
In Jaws, There's the leg
Yep.
sinking down to the bottom.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
he lost his leg to a giant turtle and lost his arms to the predator. He's not having a good time, is he?
He
And
only
he
lost
lost.
one arm.
And he
to the
lost.
predator.
And
He
and he
also
lost.
lost his hand to an alligator golfing.
True.
Yes.
Yeah, and he lost his and he lost the top of his afro when he was drowning. Like if you notice, the top of his afro was like literally like almost gone, dude, and it's like on the sides of his afro were freaking sticking
Yeah.
out like Wolverine. And I
Yeah.
was like, what is that? Is that a toupee? Is it like a freaking like what is that? Like why is this fro like freaking like going so many different directions but nothing on top? But I mean, I'm just being funny about it. But I was just like Carl Weathers, man. Like he did as much as range, even though he was still a kind of a green actor. From coming from the NFL and being an athlete and going straight into movies, he did a way better job than poor
I think he's a fantastic actor.
Yeah.
yeah. And
He's
he
he's a
made
better
the
actor
Woody
that
guy.
doesn't get the credit he deserved.
That
I agree.
that alligator. No, I was golfing in Florida, hooked my ball into the rough. Alligator tore my hand clean off. He got my hand, but I tore one of his eyes out.
You just popped up. Took me on in my prime. But I tore one of them bastards' eyes out, though.
Yeah, it's but I'm just saying because but it's true. Like as far as his afro looking weird and he him like struggling, and then that when he just goes down, when he's just getting like literally like dragged under, and you just see him trying to cut or trying to get untangle, and then like another scene later, you just see he's gone, like he's drowning, and it's funny how he's still getting pulled under, even with the they said Subaraya did the special effects.
Yeah.
Like the way he was when the turtle or Jenny's or the turtle itself, I think they're two separate entities, but the turtle's going down, and you could just see his that either if it was a doll or if it was a puppet, and it's just going like downward. And the way the way when he comes out, I'll just go back to this before we get to the end of it. The way he looked at her and said no, and then you just see Jenny's eyes glow like
Yeah.
green, and you saw and I think Kevin mentioned you already saw the wound she had. She had a wound when she was kissing Magnus. She had a wound on the side of her, on the bottom of her rib cage or something.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's why I was just saying like it was good. Like the ending I thought was good. The turtle looked great. And then Jenny, the eerie, like the beauty she had, like just went with it. And then Carl Weathers, pretty much carrying the most of the acting aside from everybody else who was on there. I mean, everybody did great. Just to me, it seemed like Carl was just carrying the actor that was playing Magnus.
Mm-hmm.
And towards the end, like I said, when he was getting pulled under and he's just like there like that, I think drowning is an ugly way to die, but
Mhm.
it's like just the way seeing him.
It's actually
Yeah, go ahead.
peaceful.
I'm sorry.
You don't actually know it's happening. So
Well, yeah,
Really?
yeah, that's what I'm saying. But it looks like an ugly. I think any way to die is ugly, when it comes to that. But it just, I mean, nobody knows. None of us here alive would know. But it looks like it's an ugly way to die.
It's not particularly quick either. You
No.
know?
it's
Yeah.
actually like going to sleep, believe it or not.
Yeah.
I would hope
While
yeah,
you're
yeah.
feeling the pressure of the water literally crush you, not just on the outside, but also on the inside, as your lungs are just flooded right up to the
Yeah.
brim.
Mm.
But I'll quickly finish it, then we can talk
Yeah.
more because
Totally.
I want to hear Tony talk as well and his opinion.
Definitely.
Yes.
Uh,
Go ahead, Tony.
So I'll quickly end. So basically, what happens is the turtle resurfaces as I showed. Its eyes glowing green, exactly like Jenny's, before it dives down into the depths, dragging Eric helplessly behind. Jenny approaches an unconscious Magnus lying face flat on the beach sadly, kisses him, then returns to the ocean for the last time. Deshaun approaches Magnus in the graveyard where his parents are buried and expresses her horror of the losses of her husband and Dr. Paulus. Magnus tells her he is leaving Bermuda and wants nothing to do with the sea ever again. He walks away without noticing the statue of Jenny and the inscription, Jenny Harbinger, 1701, lost at sea, on her gravestone. On the ferry leaving Bermuda, Magnus removes the necklace Jenny had given him and sadly throws it into the sea. It sinks past the giant turtle, which is shown to have the same initials Magnus inscribed on its shell all those years a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
You mean to
And I-
tell me nobody saw that?
I saw
None of them saw that?
Probably
Didn't
not.
live long enough.
Well, yeah.
And
They
this is the
saw
point.
that turtle a bunch of times. And he even mentioned about it, saying, like, well, what if you have a connection? And then the next scene, Carweathers is shooting it. And like it's like that's the part, like Magnus. It's like he just lets him do it. Just like, stop him. Like, if you think that there's a connection or you know what's up, something's up with this, like, stop him.
Definitely a major weakness in the writing there.
Oh yeah.
So,
Well,
Tony,
yeah, it
what's
kinda
your
goes back to
overall
what
thoughts
Kevin
on this
said,
film?
because of the trauma that Magnus possesses. Like, he didn't convey it very well, but that's probably what it was. Because Magnus is a very frustrating character in this film.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, like when who said they want to shake him and punch him in the face?
Very fucking frustrating, Magnus.
And-
I mean,
how many times do they say his fucking name in this movie?
Yeah, you can have a drinking game. Anyone who says Magnus,
You'd be dead.
take a shot.
You'd be dead halfway through the movie.
Yeah.
and I was gonna say too, like, did anybody think that that necklace was the connection? And when he threw it, like that's when everything ended. Like, because the other girl, Delia, or was it Delia? She also had a necklace that was identical to that one.
Yeah.
So do you guys think that she knew Delia knew? She said she knew Jennifer, and she just stayed away from the ocean because she didn't. That's where she always stays. Like, she never comes hardly anywhere. She has to be close to the ocean to be able to just come.
But
Yeah.
I think as well, though, you've got to think about it like this as well. Is it just men that she has to, seduce into the island, into the ocean? Because with her being frightened to go near the ocean, could she also be drawn in, or is it just men? It's not really
Well, that's the thing
explained
too,
that
because
well.
if the woman had one too, then that could be some sort of talisman that the girl makes as a protection. So it could be more of just like she either befriends, or in the case of Magnus, there's like a little bit of romance there. But if it's like a talisman of protection, because Sentry's right, when they're older, the first
Much
thing that she
appreciated.
sees is the necklace, so she recognizes the necklace right away. So it's almost like a calling card to something that she's made. I didn't even recognize that the woman Delia had one. So if that's the case, that's some sort of like talisman that she's making that says to her that these people are not there to harm her. But they, like, Delia, of course, fears her knowing what she is, but Magnus never comes to that conclusion until the end of the movie.
Well, anytime you have a movie set in an exotic location where the horror, whatever it is local to this exotic location, you have to have some local who is bizarrely informed on the matter basically give you exposition. They do it in the Friday the 13th franchise. That the drunken, crazy gardener who warns everyone and still gets his throat cut. We see this in everything. That a few years ago, that they were filming a horror movie on Cape Cod. And I say, and if you want me to play the crazy old coot who warns everyone and still ends up getting killed, I'll do that. And they go, good. They never get back to me. But there you go again, the crazy old coot.
You did.
But he's
I
not
think
crazy.
the old coot very well. He reminds me a lot of my grandfather. not the voice. My grandfather, he talked like Edward J. Robinson, but he looked like Burl Ives. Put the two of them together. Robbie, come over here and have some licorice with your Daddy Grant. Yeah.
So what we're going to do now is we'll go around in order and we'll get everyone just to talk about the pros, the cons of the movies, and give your rating on the Bermuda Depth. So of course we'll start with Mr. DJ Anubis.
Yeah, so this is a bit of a nostalgic movie for me. Like I said, it's got its share of problems. The editing is not very good, but again, it's part of that time period when made-for-TV movies were really, really good. And as a kid, I really fell in love with it. I mean, I don't really rate it a 10 out of 10, but I probably give it more like a 8.5 or 9 because I still have that nostalgia for it. The one interesting thing about the film, too, is that in about around 2006, because you have to understand for a very, very, very long time, you could not get this on DVD or Blu-ray at all. It took a petition around 2006 that I signed to get them to first put it out on this release. The one I think that Jedi has is actually the Blu-ray, which they actually upped the ante on it. Yeah. So the fact that people at that time in 2006 cared enough about this movie and remembered it like they did, like we do now, pushed to have this movie put out on DVD. Because like I was surprised when I learned that it wasn't even out there. I was like, wow, this is terrible. This movie's something that people have to see. It's not going to be like the groundbreaking films that we see in some of our other films that we talk about, but it is a part of our history, especially as kaiju fans and the love of monster movies. So for me, I was very, very happy that it was finally put out on DVD through that. So it's an 8.5 for me. It's got some trouble marks. Obviously, I talked about how the story is kind of incoherent. It doesn't really follow a particular theme. It probably would have been better suited to stick with more of a horror element and go with the mystery of Jenny and the siren aspect, as well as the Bermuda Triangle, because that's something that Thrash brought up, that if they would have stuck a little closer to the mythology of the Bermuda Triangle, I think I would have really enjoyed that aspect a lot more than the whole romantic part of it. But you guys brought up a lot of interesting things to talk about, and I appreciate that. And even if you guys didn't like it, I'm glad you checked it out. That's basically all I got to say.
The Professor, Dan Miller.
Right. I have a lot to unpack here, so I'm going to be as quick as I can to move on to the next person. This movie, for me, first time seeing it, I'll admit I was frustrated, not just with Magnus. Fucking Magnus, you imbecile, what are you doing? No, it wasn't just Magnus that was frustrating, but it was really the whole way in which the film was playing out from beginning to end. It has a lot of interesting ideas. Any of those ideas could have made for a great cult classic movie. The problem is there's just so much going along. It tries to commit to every single one. It just fails to align all these things together. Mm-hmm. One element I feel could have worked if they were going with the romantic element was to have Jenny as more of a femme fatale or a tragic love interest. Have a plot where if Magnus wants Jenny to stay with Jenny romantically, he always have to give up his humanity, at least physically, and become the sea turtle, or at least take Jenny's...
I agree with that, because I think they should have made her the villain.
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking at some point that she was going to sacrifice her curse or whatever it was that she had, her allegiance to save Magnus. I thought that was what was going to be the breaking point at the end of the film when I initially saw it, because I'm like, oh, she's going to give up her life for his. That's as interesting because she's, as I said, a siren. So I thought that was what was going to be the turning point. But yeah, they never quite go there. They just go back to normal after that.
That's right. The other things I have to say about this movie are, of course, the blending of live action and special effects. The special effects by Subaraya Productions, they're good. They get the job done. It's nothing spectacular to write home about, which for me, being a fan of someone who likes Japanese science fiction, it is a bit of a disappointing thing to say, but I'll admit it in this case. The editing itself, you can tell that there is a lot that went wrong, not just in production, but also in the edit. Like, for instance, whole scenes are just cut around where it feels like, okay, there was meant to be some context or some details in here, but for some reason or another, it's just missing. And what we have is something that's confusing. Like the professor explained to Magnus how his father died. It almost sounds like building up to a villain reveal for the professor that he's the big bad of the movie. But then it does a complete 180 where Carl Weathers is the villain. And it's like, okay, can you make up who the fuck we're supposed to be rooting for and against here? Come on. I mean, the soundtrack, the opening soundtrack, it's interesting, but it's not something I would listen to on repeat. The incidental music, again, is interesting. And as Kevin says, it fits the tone of the visuals perfectly. Speaking of the visuals, I like the underwater cinematography scenes. I think they are the highlight of the movie, without a doubt.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the directing, not just in terms of what messages they were going for, but also in terms of the scenes and the characters, it's just all over the place. The characters themselves, when it comes to Magnus, he is definitely the bottom of the list here. Carl Weathers did have some good moments where his performance shines through. The actress who plays Jenny also has some good moments of character acting where she plays this almost sensual but very mysterious creature of sorts. I would like to have seen more of that, but of course, what we see is what we get. My rating with this movie, I'm going to have to go with a 5. It's a cult classic. It's a favorite for a lot of people. It holds a special place in people's hearts, especially for those who grew up with the TV movies. But it's not something you would visit religiously. It's not like, oh, this is the one go-to thing in my entire category of this thing. I'm going to watch this over and over again. I would revisit it if there was some details that I missed or would find some inspiration from, but it's not something I'd go back to on a constant thing. So 5 out of 10 from me.
Okay. Mr. Jedi Granville.
Well, let me put my 2 cents into this. This is a childhood favorite of mine. And to Anubis, sir, since you were one of the many who made a petition to get this on physical media, I thank you, sir. Thank you for that. But also, the fact that this film was so hard to find anyway. I mean, when you do see it in a repeat, it'd be on like TBS or TNT or somewhere, it's just hard to find.
Sci-Fi Channel, I think, ran it at one point.
Did it? Okay.
I think. That. I can't quite recall, but yes, you're right.
Okay. But no, this film, it's interesting because this is the thing I was going to mention earlier, and it's one of those few films. I don't know if I think they did it not as much back then, but they do it so much now. A post-credit scene where it's like whatever you thought, we're actually showing the reveal of it now with the, like I say, with the carving of the initials of Jenny and Magnus on the back of the turtle, or the fact that Jenny is not who she really is when we see her gravestone, the statue and everything, and it's. Like I say, and as you say, there are so many things going on here. You got left, right, top, bottom. It's like, make up your damn mind what you want to do. I'm like,
top and the bottom, man.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, start from the bottom, work your way to the top, but it's like it's not even doing that. It's just it's all over the place. But at least it does give you enough to say, okay, we got a moment where we're building up to where we're going to, and when it does do it. In a way, it doesn't disappoint me, at least for me now, and like I say, I saw it as a kid and it satisfied me. Watch it again, and it's like, it still satisfies me, even in my time, so it's not super bad, but yeah, I can tell you now, Godzilla versus Megalon is my favorite film. I mean, yes, still my favorite Godzilla film, but I can point out so many errors in that film till the cows go home. So this movie here is no exception. But that being said, I had to give it a higher rating of like 8.9 because it is a childhood favorite. And like I say, watching it when I saw it as a kid, it stuck with me because I'm like, what was this film? I mean, I want to see it again, but the only way you can see it was through reruns, and it just faded off into obscurity, and you never saw it again. And then when it got into physical media, it was like treasure trove right here. I got to add this to my collection here, So it's definitely an 8.9 for me as far as that goes. Not because of the bad, fact that it is not so great, but just for nostalgia's sake, that's why I gave it that high rating.
Walter, since you mentioned Godzilla versus Megalon, Pop Culture Cast, who's watching us, said he thinks Godzilla versus Megalon is a definitive Godzilla movie.
Okay, let's see.
There you go, Walter.
Well, see, I appreciate that. I mean, like I said, I can, as I said before, I can give that thing a bashing so many times because sometimes what you love, you got to give a little. When I say not hate, but just dissatisfaction of what goes on in it. But it's still my favorite, and I still love it for what it is because it was my first Godzilla film.
Yeah,
Anthony Jordan.
I really didn't like this one, and the professor took the words right out of my mouth. So I'm gonna paraphrase them. It's just got a lot of themes that just go nowhere, and it feels like it's setting things up that don't pay off, like that professor having almost firsthand knowledge, like he was there, of what happened to Magnus's father. Magnus just being a super frustrating character that, you, like I said, you just want to slap him around and see if it brings some sense to him. It does have a good soundtrack, but just like the professor said, it's not something you can listen to by itself. It's not like this where I can listen to it on its own anytime and it's great. It just works in context to the movie. We have some decent miniature effects. But that being said, before I rate it, after talking about it with everyone else, this is definitely a film I'm gonna revisit in the future. So I'm gonna give it a tentative 5 out of 10, but that could change with the future viewing.
Oh, well, as you know, as the nostalgia junkie I am, I love this film. And again, as I said before, it's a love letter to all those 70s themes. So the fact that they could compile them, albeit not entirely effectively, but the fact that they could get them all in there, I think is amazing. Also, I have to point out just a couple of connections between this movie and another movie I loved from the time, The Last Dinosaur. And it's funny. Both of them have a tragic death of a scientist, which is a major subplot. Both of them, they're going after a giant cryptid creature. One of them becomes obsessed first with capturing it, but then because remember in Last Dinosaur, Thorne doesn't want to kill it. He goes, "We're going to study it," and then he's like, "I'm going to have that thing done. I'm going to kill it." Well, when did you have this change of heart? But he does off camera. But the thing, and I'm going to throw this out here to you guys because you guys tell me what you think. One of the most tantalizing things in both, and I think most tantalizing here, is both of them have the main female character beg for the life of the creature. Last Dinosaur, Joan Van Ark, and it's because she feels this might be the last T-Rex on the planet. They were surprised there was this one. But in this one, Jenny, she begs Magnus for the creature's freedom, and there's one of two ways you can interpret it. One, it's her job. It's her boss's watchdog, and she's got to do what she can to try to get the thing freed. But what if, and a few of you guys have already mentioned this, what if she was trying to go native? What if she thought she could parlay this into a release of her sentence in the sea? Magnus, talk your buddy into letting the creature go, and then maybe I can stay with you. There's a wonderful scene in the first rendition of The Stand where Flag's betrothed says, I think if I could just stay with you, I'll somehow break this curse.
Yeah.
And Nick blows her off, and hilarity ensues. I think just maybe, Jenny may have thought we could break the cycle here, and I could go home with you. But
it could also be self-preservation. I mean, she takes a wound just like the turtle did, so maybe it was just like she knows that if that turtle dies, so does she.
So yeah, and again, they both work for the same underworld, shall we say? So yeah, there are two different ways. I just the way she's saying, the way she was saying it was almost like, well, there might be hope, and you don't see a lot of hope in this movie. It's a very depressing movie. But for everything, I do love it, and I'm going to give it an 8.5. And I have to say before I yield to Tony, give me one more second, Mr. Tony. For those of you Connie Sellecca fans out there and who are true sci-fi buffs, she was a supporting cast member in The Greatest American Hero back in the day, the old TV show.
Yep.
And she was married to Buck Rogers himself, at least the 70s version, Gil Gerard.
Okay.
Wow.
I think she's still married to John Tesh right now.
Yeah, she's married to John Tesh at the time they have 2 kids, but she was married to Gil Gerard. So there's a whole sci-fi undercurrent with her and her alone. Mr. Tony, thank you for your patience.
Yes, Tony, give us your thoughts.
Well, let's see. I'll start with what I liked. I think the scenery was very nice. Bermuda and that was good. The soundtrack was good, but it was repetitive. Same thing with the sea turtle every time. I was hoping that we would get down to the source of the Bermuda Triangle and there'd be other giant things down there. And it
like Nautilus.
Yeah, that didn't happen. So, and I get that, I could see, because there's stuff I've seen that and I make them, I probably Freaked is one of them. I love the movie, and they thought it was fun, but they didn't see it when they were younger. So I could see why you guys might like this when you were younger. But watching it now, first time seeing it, I think all the theories you guys have sound interesting, and I wish any of that would have happened, because it would have made this movie good. And I feel like you're trying to find a reason it didn't suck that bad, but because this could be what they're thinking, and that I don't know. It's all good theories, but I don't think anybody thought any of that shit while they were making this movie. I think they just made a bad TV movie. But I get it if you like it, that's fine. Fuck me. I don't. Who the hell am I? But I really did not like this at all. You would? Thank you. All right. So that's the best offer I've had in a long time.
So what's your rating?
2. I give it a 2.
Oh.
Yeah, I did not like this at all.
Suck my balls.
Yeah, that's right.
Would.
2 of them.
Just one quick thing to add. Did anyone notice that the whale sound effects were the exact same sounds used for Biollante?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, the wheel calling. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The unicorns in Legend.
Oh yeah.
Really?
Yeah, that's right. I feel like this shouldn't have been on here, because to me it's not really a kaiju.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. You know what a kaiju is? Yes, it is.
One big turtle. He's just a big turtle.
It's a kaiju.
He's not.
Stingrays
could get that big.
Wait,
the fuck they can.
Hold on. I think we can pass it off as a kaiju movie, because if you look at the X from Outer, that one kaiju movie by Dai, where there is a kaiju in space, but it doesn't actually do any attacking. It just exists. I forget what the movie's name is called, but you probably
Doggerah?
know.
Not Doggerah. No, I'm sorry.
No.
Algorithm.
Wait, is it the X from Space I'm thinking of?
Yeah, Danny's wrong though. I'm sorry, he's wrong. Not on this film, but he's wrong about TV movies because there's some really good ones out there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
So-
you want a great TV movie? Salem's Lot from the 70s. Great TV
Yep.
movie.
Hell yeah. Oh my God.
Dark
yeah.
Knight of the Scarecrow, fucking
Yeah.
great film.
Oh,
Oh,
Dark Knight
yeah.
of the Scarecrow is one of my favorite Halloween films. It's on my top 5 Halloween
Yep.
films.
Who's
And
familiar?
how do you not like the car? The car is fucking
Sci-fi.
amazing.
Car is great.
1973. Don't Be Afraid of the Dark with Kim Darby.
Yeah,
Yes.
That I was trying to think. That's what the little things in the cupboards, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good movie too, and the ending's really good. They're all good
With their
TV
chanting at
movies.
the end. Yeah. And it has
I think even Trilogy of Terror was a TV movie.
yes, it was. Yes, it was. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe the little monsters from Don't Be Afraid of the Dark were repurposed for the pilot for Archer Fugitive of the Empire a few years later for the snake men that were the minions of the principal bad guy.
And they
I
look
think-
kind of like the gremlin from that episode of The Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
Sci-fi. What's your thoughts and ratings?
Well, like I said in the beginning, I liked the film. It didn't blow me away, obviously, but I mean there are a lot of things wrong with this film. But I guess because I'm such a kaiju enthusiast, but it does give me before I go any further, it does give me some vibes of another kaiju movie that was considered not very good, and though I kind of did like was what do you call it? Rego, the King of the Sea Monsters.
Yes.
Yes, yeah, Rego, King of the Sea Monsters, and I got vibes. Now that I think about it, I got vibes from that because of the actual size of the turtle. Because Rego wasn't that big either. But now that I think about it, but let me just tell you one thing: Rego was a cool movie, but I still think this one was better because the acting was top notch compared to the actors in Rego. But I will say that there's a lot of issues with this film, man. But I did like, of course, Carl Weathers and the fact that everybody here has a point. Like I think they took a little too long for the big reveal of the turtle of Jenny or whoever it was, but yeah, I thought the soundtrack was a big plus for me because it just went with the film, and the cinematography was good. The special effects were good. Of course, there was Subaraya at the time, 78. So that's another thing. Adding Subaraya to it and it being a Japanese co-promotion, that's another reason why I did enjoy the film. And, but aside from, Pinocchio / Magnus, that dude was just so like a wooden puppet, man. They couldn't act. I could act better than that dude. But aside from that, Weathers, I forgot the beautiful girl's name.
Tony Selica.
Yeah, that played Jenny, and then the marine biologist doctor. It was good. Yeah, it was good. I did like it. I did like it. It like everybody has said, it's got a lot of flaws, but it just gave me vibes of Regal, but in a much better fashion aside from its flaws. But yeah, I did enjoy it. I actually bought it. On Blu-ray
wow.
just a few hours ago, and just to have it in my collection because I have worse movies in my collection, and Rego's one of them. But I actually thought Rego was cool. But if anybody's seen Rego, the King of the Sea Monsters, they'll know about it. But yeah, and I give it about a 7.
Oh wow!
I'll give it a 7. Just because of, like I said, Weathers and the Subaraya
my boy
effects.
right there. Yeah.
7, 7 from the Subaraya co-promotion with Japanese and Arthur Rankin. So yeah, that's my rating on it.
Cool.
Magnus, he turned her down after making out to go fishing with Carl Weathers because he promised.
Yeah.
Bros before hoes.
Any guy would go, dude, I have a chicken here. And be like, oh, okay. You're just going to be extra help anyway.
What happened to bros over hoes?
He's just got out of a mental institute. He's
special circumstances.
It wouldn't if he all right, he could just say, give me 5 seconds. He just say, give me 5 seconds.
I wouldn't.
Why would I turn her down?
It's not like she wasn't coming back. I mean, every time he was on the fucking beach, she was there. So
this is why most people want to live by the sea.
Yeah.
Out of respect. Oh, go ahead.
Oh,
sorry. Go ahead.
No, but I was just going to ask for me. My opinion of the movie is I still cannot really make up my mind if I liked it or disliked it. I'm probably going to have to watch it again at some point, but for now, I'm probably somewhere in the middle. I like the idea of it. I like the mystery of it. Like Anubis, I do like the melody soundtrack, but I do agree it can become very repetitive. But I think it's perfect for this film. I liked every character, every actor except the actor who played and portrayed Magnus. He's too wooden for me. Carl Weathers was the VIP for me in this. I like I like the mystery of how it's like going back to like mythology of the sea with the siren and possession. I think it's a unique story. I just wish, like Anthony said, it was fleshed out better and there were more real reveals that explained some of the story better. Bermuda looks beautiful. I'd love to go on a fucking holiday there after seeing the sceneries at the beginning of this movie. For me, because I am like still like in a mixed vibe of did I like it, did I not like it, I'm gonna be fair. I'm gonna give it 6 out of 10. Okay. I think that's a fair rating, especially when I cannot make me mind.
Sure.
Like
that's better than a 5. Better than a 2.
You're right. It is. You're very right.
Might be the most
6 is higher than 2. Very good, Anubis.
Tony, I have to yield. You made a point. I have to yield. I think a lot of the things I am inferring are just that. I think it's like, well, wouldn't it be cool if they meant this? Yeah, but they probably didn't even think of that at the time. There was an old short story by Brian Aldiss that I remember. I'm a huge Brian Aldiss fan. I read it as a kid, and I go, "Oh my god, this is comedic genius! This is great! This is so insightful." And I read it years later, and I go, "This is mediocre." But because I wanted it to be really, really fascinating, I was inferring all these extra innuendos and other levels. And sometimes we do this out of nostalgia or if we really want to like something. So I got to hand it to you. I think you were right there.
I do applaud Anubis though for suggesting this. I know Mr. Tony says it's not really a kaiju movie, and I can see where he comes from because there's no like a lot of kaiju action in it. It just features a giant creature, and obviously the production of the studios that are well versed within that world. I can see why it is considered a kaiju movie as well. But before we ask what everyone's got coming up on their channel next, I'll announce what we're going to do next as the next classic Kaiju Connections movie, and it's going to be The Last Dinosaur. So that
never heard of it.
That's going to be the next one. And I don't know when I'll schedule that because I'm going to be doing a lot at work, and then me and Mr. Walter Ross alongside Sci-Fi Century will be on vacation in San Diego.
Yep.
So if we can fit it in June, then I'll try and get The Last Dinosaur. If not, it'll be the first Kaiju Connections classic movie review after we're back from a vacation.
Well, you can count me in.
Yeah, well, you're always welcome. Everyone here is always welcome. Just a little bit what is coming to the entertainment headquarters. On the 6th of June, we do have 2 things coming up. The first which we'll be doing, it's going to be me, Mr. Tony the Dead, Anthony Jordan, DJ Anubis will be doing our first of a two-parter, Into the Darkness special, where we'll be talking about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise. And later on that night, live on the entertainment headquarters, it's going to be me and Mr. Jedi Granville, as he's going to be teaching me about special effects, VFX.
Yes, sir.
Nice.
And then, yes. And then after that, we do have hopefully, if everyone can attend, on the 12th at 10 p.m. Hopefully, it's going to be live. We've got the Retro Classic Movie Show. It's going to be the Karate Kid special, where we talk about the first 4 karate films. Yeah, I can't even get words in. The first 4 Karate Kid movies. And then after that, coming up later on the entertainment headquarters, we do have some more stuff planned. We have Television Chronicles planned for the 18th. That's me and Mr. Tony the Dead. We're going to be doing the television series The Terror.
Which one?
It's the first season. First season. And I believe me and Mr. I forgot me. It's just been scheduled as well. Me and Mr. Daniel Miller, I believe on the Monday, the 16th of June, we're going to be doing another education on the Thunderbirds.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Definitely want to see that.
Yes. So Thrash, I know you're a fan of that. I don't know if you can make the 16th, because you're more than welcome.
If I can make it, I would love to attend. Thank you.
Please do.
Yes.
So that's what's coming up on the entertainment headquarters throughout the month of June. But starting from the top to the bottom, Mr. DJ Anubis, what's coming to the Metal Tavern Radio?
Tomorrow, 2 p.m. Eastern, we will be doing a live. Me and Neko, we're talking and reviewing Maryland Death Fest 2025. So we talking about the bands we saw, the experience. We've been going since 2009 to this festival. Got a lot of like little merch hall stuff that I'm gonna show. Some figurines as well that we picked up at Target while I was down there. So some people will be interested in that. Later in the evening, Silver Screen Savants with Alvin. We're doing his pick, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. We'll be reviewing that film. Come Monday.
Bang Bang.
Yep.
Yeah,
Come Monday, I'm doing my next 2 things that day. My next Lone Wolf of Dub. I'm going to be covering and reviewing The Sword Stained with Royal Blood. And then Species Spotlight, I'm covering my tarantula, the Costa Rican striped knee. So I'll be breaking down that little spider. Tuesday was supposed to be hosted by Samurai for Action Film Autopsy, Rick Myers, but he can't make it. So I will be hosting that on my channel. So
cool.
Once Rick and I do that, I'll have it uploaded and you guys can check it out and all that. I don't know if I'm going to do it live yet. Wednesday, my part of the Ghouls of Midnight, I'm reviewing with Tony, The Witchmaker, aka The Naked Witch from 1969. So that's my pick for this week. I haven't got his yet. He'll probably tell you what that is. Saturday, not tomorrow, but the following one, I'm planning on with Neko on Friday night to go see Ballerina. So I'm going to do a review for Ballerina when I get done with that for the John Wick series. Sunday, following that, I've talked to you guys off stream a little bit. Kicking off my What If series about the Scream franchise. I think Daniel, Anthony, Tony, and maybe Thrash will want to be a part of that. So if you guys want to join for that'd be great. It's mainly just based around like what if they did this. You guys can come up with your own theories. I actually have one of my own that kind of started my thinking, and Kevin actually suggested I do like a whole series on this. So eventually I will be doing some other franchises and movies that I'm going to play with that a little bit. So you guys are anytime you want to join in, let me know. And then finally, Wednesday of that week, Mr. Lambert and I, for Cinematic Synergy, we'll be covering 2006, The Illusionist with Edward Norton and Giamatti. So that's pretty much coming up. I do have some things in the puddles. I've got the Vintage Cult Cinema for Kevin. I'm supposed to be Grandma's Boy with you with that. Jedi, we're supposed to get together for Kaiju Spotlight for Gyra, one of the gargantuans. We're going to be covering that character. And Thrash, since I've got you here, I'd like to do a vintage cult cinema with you. And actually, I want to do the car from 1977 with you. So if you're down, we'll figure a time and a good date to do that, sir.
Count me in.
If you have any more, if you have an opening for Grandma's Boy, I'd like to be on that.
Yeah, it's cinematic, so you can come in on that one if you want.
Cool.
I do have one more thing before I move on that I forgot. I will be putting up my review because I will be going out tomorrow. I've got going out with a friend, and we're going to go see Karate Kid Legend. And
is it coming out this week?
It's out now.
Out today.
And I am shitting my pants because I hear it's terrible.
Real quick, too, Anthony. Were you going to be part of Grandma's Boy or Illusionist?
If I can see it, I'll be a part.
I have it. I could try to upload it for you. So if you want to be a part of that, I'll put you on there.
Okay.
All right.
Dan Miller.
Want to say hi to everybody? Neko's home.
Oh, okay.
Hello.
Neko.
DJ Neko! Long time no see. How you doing there?
I'm good. I just came home from work. You know, hold on. I got my friend with me real fast.
Sci-Fi Society crew.
You know,
that's her
My friend. I brought my friend with me.
oh,
Fine.
great friend.
Oh, the boss.
Sorry, Anubis.
Right?
I thought she was going to show us another girl. Like, oh, all right, we'll let you go.
I'm like, gotta go, guys.
Bow, chicka, bow,
Wow.
And
That
Anubis
was,
My
says-
friend Candy.
And Anubis says he doesn't have a harem.
Yeah, right?
He does have a harem.
Spiders.
He doesn't need
Spiders.
one.
right.
Spiders.
Not when you have the most perfect wife in the world, right?
Right.
Hold on, I remove myself from this thread.
Dude, don't do
Hey, we're seeking, we're making them sink in the hole deeper, guys. Come on, calm
Right?
down.
That's what I'm saying. Don't get them deep.
Anubis, blink twice if you're not safe right now.
Yeah, and that, we know Neko, we know Neko's super sinister smile too.
Oh, God.
Jake's always there for the fireworks.
Oh, God. Jake, if you was on here, you definitely be.
It's been a crazy week for me at work. I got a new job 2 months ago, and I work in a steel finishing mill, and our furnace is down.
Oh, so centuries. Only it's his air conditioning.
Yeah.
So like you can't melt steel. So
Without a
it's
furnace,
been really crazy, and it's month end. So I got me some wine, and I tomorrow. Did you tell him tomorrow we're gonna do our review of Maryland Death Fest and talk about how I fell flat on my face and yeah.
Anubis was still walking. I never. Usually, I hear like this, but I never heard anything. It's like somebody just fell off the face of the earth. Yep. Finally, she's like, "Me, come here." I was like, "Oh, what happened?" She's like limping, you know.
Ouch.
All week. But yeah, it's been crazy, but and he's been like super helpful because my mom and everything, and so like. I'm just happy to be home on a Friday. A lot of people are working this weekend. I said deuces because I'm not. And we're going to just have a nice, Saturdays are usually our day. And I found a place that has racquetball so we can get back to playing racquetball. I'm so excited.
Okay, we got to finish.
All right, sorry. I love you guys.
That's love.
You guys got her started, so she would talk for another hour. We don't have that kind of time.
Daniel, where we're going? What's happening?
Okay, so my channel. Now, there's a lot of stuff in development. It's going to take a very, very long time for there's anything actually concrete heading for my channel. But all I keep on saying is, do keep a check out on the socials, and if you haven't subscribed, please do so. I do have some fiction stories I've already been working on writing. Most of them are almost finished, and they can be adapted into audio. We do have some illustrations for time lapse videos on the way soon. So do keep it eyes and ears out. That's all I have to say.
Hey, Professor, you ever thought about like doing your own kind of audio? Because like the way you narrate stuff, man, is like freaking badass, dude. Like you sound like Hitchcock kind of shit. But
Well, I've got a project for him I want to work on. I want him to.
When I die, Professor's going to narrate my life. That's what's going to
Look
happen.
at how the artist lovingly depicted his subject.
there you
Well,
go.
I've got a project for Daniel. I want him to, because I've got down here
a manuscript.
My manuscript for a Godzilla story, and I want him to read it out.
Oh, nice.
Oh, I look forward to it.
Yes. So, Mr. Jedi Granville, what is coming to Granville Productions?
Yes. Well, next month is pretty. When I say swamped, it's swamped with ideas and things that's going to be kind of hidden back and forth. So I'll just go through first week of June. That's Saturday. I am supposed to be getting Anubis talking about females werewolves in the media, in films and television, whatever it might be. That's probably going to be recorded. That's not going to be live. That's just going to be that. And the following week of that, I am going to have the Tom Cruise Mission Impossible film series discussion, where it's like, because I got through, like I said, I saw the recent Mission Impossible, and I have to say it was pretty damn good. The last one was kind of iffy, but when you see that one and then you see this one, you realize, okay, I get it. But I'm going to take all 8 films, and whoever joins up, whoever wants to attend, we're just going to kind of slam, bam, thank you, ma'am, kind of throw them out the ballpark with that, And that next Saturday will be the 50th anniversary of Jaws, which I thankfully will have Thrash on there, and I'm hoping to have one particular person on there. But I mean, we'll see how it goes. And last but not least, the 40th anniversary of Life Force, and it's going to be my birthday that Saturday. So
birthday boy.
Hopefully most of you can come on there and join me, talking about this film, this legendary cult classic. And that's pretty much it. And I think I'm trying to think, do I'm joining someone? I like to say, Kevin already mentioned us doing that education when I talk about special effects, but can't think of anything else. I don't know if I'll be able to join the Karate Kid, but I'll see what I do, because I have to work a little later that particular day, but we'll see. I'll try to make it work.
Anthony Jordan.
Okay, so in addition to the stuff mentioned, I decided today, rather than continuing with my Godzilla thon, which I'm still doing, I'm gonna jump into reviewing Gundam Wing since it's the 30th anniversary. I'm a huge Gundam fan, and that's what got me into Gundam, so how can I not do a 30th anniversary celebration for it? And I'm aiming for Saturday, June 21st, and my apologies for not asking a lot of people, but I'm trying to figure out what my internet can really withstand right now. But I want to do my 50th anniversary Jaws live stream discussion for the first episode of Discussions in Filmland, and I want to have at least the Professor and Anubis on it. So that should be a fun time. And I know Walter's doing it too, and we try not to overlap, but come on, it's Jaws and it's turning 50.
Yeah.
Cool. Thrash.
Well, tomorrow I have my normal Sunday night live chat. It's going to be at 7. This week is going to be the group chat. I'm going to have Danny and Sister Sarah, and we're going to be talking about really bizarre, weird, strange cult movies, specifically spotlighting mostly comedies, but any old, weird cult classic will be permitted. As a lot of you just know, I know Mr. Tony was there. I had my first Battle of the Dad Jokes competition. I'm looking forward to doing another one very, very, very soon. This one might even be a little edgier. We kind of kept the first one PG-13, even though we had an advisory in the corner. So this one might actually get a little more intense. But either way, I'm looking forward to another dad joke battle. I'm going to have a couple more pieces of content come up this week. I haven't specifically decided on which one, so I can't really say either way, but please be watching for my my content. And of course, goes without saying, I'm going to be joining our buddy Kevin here on Entertainment Headquarters, certainly for The Last Dinosaur et al.
Yes. So that either happen some point in June or it'll happen when we come back off of vacation.
Excellent.
I was gonna ask Thrash, you said dad jokes, you mean like snaps, like cut downs or something? Is that what you mean?
Oh no,
like
just dad. Of course, when does a dad joke become a dad joke?
Oh, okay. I thought you were like
When it's
what I meant by
apparent.
snap. What I meant by snaps, like what I meant by snaps, like back in the '90s, where it used to be like, oh, your dad's so
You're
so
talking
black.
about
He kept
mama
his-
jokes.
Yeah, yeah, both. There's
We have
both.
those
I
too.
mean, well,
This is
yeah,
more. They're
there's
just
both.
these are just like really really bad jokes. Like here, I'll give you an
Your
example.
mama's so fat you take the bath at SeaWorld.
Your mama's so dumb. Your mama's
Go
so
ahead.
dumb. She thinks Euthanasia is a Korean boy band.
That was very
Oh, my shit.
But here's a
Yeah,
dad
mom.
joke.
Yeah,
Have you heard about the caveman who invented the propeller?
What happened
no.
to him?
Oh, he has a huge fan club.
Oh, okay. I know. I just had one. About well, not moms, but I used to say dad. Like your dad's. Oh, well, here's one for Walter. What do you call it? Remember, it's just playing around. But it's like I used to tell my friends. I was another black guy. I had a friend who was a black guy. He said, dude, your daddy's so black, bro. He casts a shadow on coal.
I get it.
And then another one was your mama. No, another one was your sister's so fat she uses Greyhound buses for rollerblades.
That's a huge bitch.
And here's another. Here was a bad one that God forgive me, because there was some guy, one of my friends that was just talking so much shit, and I just came up with it just to like shut him up, and I said, God forgive me what I'm about to say, but it's like he said your mama's so ugly that every time she goes to church, when the priest looks at her, he just goes silent.
Tony.
And I
What do you call 12 Ethiopians carrying a canoe? Cone.
Oh shit. How do you how do you stop?
This is like
how do you
going
stop-
down a whole different rabbit hole.
Can I just
no.
I made this the last one because I need to get the Tony.
Okay, sorry, my bad. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
that's right. Put your fucking foot down, pal. So stop with the jokes. Let's wait till the end.
That's right. If we can do any more, I'm
No,
going to
it
get
just-
my Cosmos Humanity set.
No, it's all right.
So
What do I have
Well,
going on? Just
Yeah.
schools. Just schools and
schools at
midnight.
midnight.
And just like whatever I'm gonna be on with you guys. Like I don't know those dates.
Well, we've
Right,
got the terror coming up. I know
Yeah, the
that.
terror and stuff like that. So yeah, just that. I'm pretty calm down on my channel. I don't, unless I guess something from a friend. I'm not gonna really do any unboxings anymore
Don't
either.
fucking expect another mystery box for the price of postage.
No.
Oh, he's not gonna put that on video. He's not gonna do that.
Right?
What?
When he
No.
sends you the mystery box. You already said you're not doing unboxings anymore.
No, unless a friend sends it.
Oh,
He's already done his unboxing.
Yeah, I did it.
Uh-huh.
So sci-fi,
that's
what's
about it.
coming up on your channel?
Well, I got whatever you guys got coming up, I'll join. But as far as that, I just found out that I have fibromyalgia. So I'm gonna be taking a break because I'm starting to already feel the symptoms, and they talk to me about everything this past week. That everything they pretty much said is what I'm going through. So they ruled it out that I have it. But besides that, we got me, of course, Kevin and Jedi. We got San Diego coming up in July. But as far as June, whatever anybody has any live streams that they'd like me to be a part of, I'll do my best and I will try to watch which movies I haven't seen. But I do still got some stuff on the back burner, but it depends on how I feel because this shit really sucks. But I'm just playing it by ear, and I still want to, like I said, I still want to do the bear, probably with Little Wolf and anybody else who wants to join, based more off of survival type of content. I want to do that for the Sci-Fi Society and Consensus. We still want to get with Anubis and Neko so we can run the Chinese Connection, aka Fist of Fury. So yeah, but like I said, it depends on how I'm feeling, and it sucks. But at least I finally know what the hell I'm fucking going through after 3 years. But so far, what anybody else has coming up as far as content, and they want me to be a part of it, I'll do my best to join.
Cool. So, DJ Anubis, I believe you've got something you wanted to announce.
Yeah, so there's one thing I've been playing around with, and it's going to mainly apply to Kevin and Professor. I've been thinking about doing like a specific video or episode dealing with like authors and writers as like a writer symposium sort of. I want to try to get Edgar Allan Poe, who's a writer, Lou Yardley from the UK. I've known her a long time, very good writer. Big Bad Wolf does his own writing. Professor and Kevin, you guys do some writing yourself. So I would like to, at some point, get together with you guys to kind of showcase your stuff, talk to you a little bit about your writing, what you want to do with it, and where you want to take it. So if you're interested in doing that, just let me know.
Somewhere down the line.
That's a very good.
What's that?
I'd be interested.
Okay.
Yeah. You know what? Anubis? Yeah, you know what, Anubis? I don't want to keep Kevin that much anymore, but I do have some. I am also working on my own little graphic novel too, so I can, if you want, I could if I can be a part of that, just to throw out a little bit of the graphic novel I've been writing, but it's been going on for like 2 years, but I'm off and on with it, not really into it right now because of certain situations, because I'm trying to get everything going on, trying to get my mind right, my physical, but I can throw some ideas out there, and if it's okay, if I can throw some ideas out there also.
Like a writer's think tank. Thanks.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
It's also kind of just showcase you guys because like Poet, he's been trying to get his book published, and I know Lou's already got a few, but it gets people. You get your name out there a little bit for people that might be interested.
The Omniviewer as well. He's had a few books published.
Yeah, he has.
That'd be a good choice. I didn't really think about him, but yeah.
So I have a friend. I have a friend that writes books, and then I can get in touch with him for you.
I don't want to know your friends.
What's that?
Poor Tony.
He's joking.
That's what a 2 gets you.
No, I'm only joking, Tony.
Hey,
we're your friends.
There's no wrong answers on this show, guys. No wrong answers.
Right.
It's all subjective. But anyway, this has been a blast. That has been our discussion and our kind of review of Bermuda Depths. It was an interesting movie. It still got me thinking. Thanks for this choice, Anubis. Like, I see the next one when we arrange a date. When we arrange the date, will be The Last Dinosaur. But as my good friend Jedi Granville always says, keep your entertainment alive and keep your kaiju love alive.
There you go.
Keep on enjoying your movies. Keep on enjoying all things entertainment. This has been the Entertainment Headquarters and Kaiju Connections. So please like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you wish. And of course, everybody else on the panel's channels. They do some badass content. Please check them out. So from us, good night, God bless, and we'll catch us all at the next one.
Peace.
Biatch.
Guys, I had a blast, but I got a motor, I'm afraid.
See you
So,
later, brother.
I'll see you
See you
soon.
next time, man.
Take care, guys.
Peace out.